I just love that picture, don't you? Wouldn't you like to be the cat with your eyes covered and you're getting a great night's sleep, just loving life? I don't know about you, but I have a couple of cats and they seem to sleep all the time and nothing seems to bother them until it's time to eat or get a treat. And then they're around you and they're circling around your legs. But anyway, thank you for joining us today. Is Monday, the 18th of October, and we are talking sleep. And if you've missed it, in the last couple of episodes, we talked about, hey, what are some of the common reasons we don't get enough sleep? And then 2 weeks ago, we talked about what are the pitfalls? What's a danger? What's a side effect, if you will, of long term and short term if we don't get enough rest? This week, I'm really excited because I want to talk to Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim about, hey, let's take a strategy, let's break it down, something you, as one of our viewers, whether you're live or down the road, you're watching it in a replay, it's been shared with you from someone because they know you're having trouble sleeping, and you can actually start to implement this and start changing it. I asked Dr. Kim and Dr. Burris off camera before we came in, I said, is it one of those things where, like if I want to lose weight, I didn't get overweight overnight and I'm not going to get back on perfect health overnight. It's a process. And I asked them, hey, is this regimen process, is it the same way? Wait a second. I don't think they answered me, but that's a great way to start today's segment. So let's welcome in Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim. Hey, Dr. Burris, Dr. Kim, how you doing?
Doing good.
So, that we've been talking sleep the whole month, and October is kind of a shoulder month out here for us here in the desert, and I think it's a great topic because it seems like so many people, like when I'm driving down the road, I look over and they're like, oh, they're yawning, they're tired. I'm in the middle of a meeting and somebody's yawning. I'm like, are you not getting enough sleep? So I thought that was a great topic, or we talked about it, and it was a great topic for the month of October. Now we've been talking about the dangers of not getting enough sleep, and then what are some of the reasons we are distracted from sleep. And let's face it, we are on all the time. We got our devices happening, and never the blurred line between I'm off work, I'm on work, I'm at home, whatever, is basically gone. But today I want to talk about and really pick your brains about, give us a strategy. Give us a process. If someone out there is watching and says, boy, I am having trouble sleeping, getting to sleep, not staying asleep, because as you explained, those are two different problems, but getting to sleep at night. So I'm really looking forward to kind of leaning back, taking some notes, and finding out from you guys today. You're the experts of how can we change the way we're going to sleep at night. But before you answer that, is it like what I discussed? Is it like, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, it's not going to happen overnight? Does it take some time to implement this strategy before we really start to feel the effect of a new strategy and helping us sleep?
Well, I actually have some good news on that part. Unlike weight loss, you can establish a new sleep routine and get the benefits of it much faster. So
Excellent.
probably 1 to 2 weeks is probably as long as it would take to start seeing the full benefits of a new routine.
Great.
Yeah.
That is really good news, because I know that for some people can be very discouraging. Like, okay, I've got to go through months of retraining, to lose 7 pounds or 5 pounds. This is a couple weeks. You can actually start to see the impact of changing your habits. And literally, if you've missed the episodes, go back and watch them about how important it is, and really the side effects of not getting enough sleep in that 6 to 9 hour range in general. There are some differences as we're younger and older, but 6 to 9, I think you were saying that's kind of our sweet spot. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that people often think that they don't need as much sleep as they really do. And so I would say if you think you need less than 6, that I would try 6 to see if you get additional benefit from that. Or if you find that you're, you know, great at 7, but super great at 8, there you go. So it's worth, if you're at the low end, maybe aiming for a slightly 7 to 8 hours a night and seeing if you notice a difference in how you feel.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm gonna turn it over to you now and allow you guys to just talk this through, give us a strategy, and I'll pop back in if I have any specific questions. But I'm gonna turn it over to you and let us just absorb your wisdom about, hey, what can we do different if we're having trouble sleeping? Because this is the one I think people have been waiting for. Is like, hey, I know I have all those issues, and I know what's causing it. What can I do? What strategy can I start employing that will change the way I go to sleep at night? So take it away.
So, I would say that the first question to ask is how bad are you feeling with the little disrupted sleep or that you're not getting sleep? In the sense that, we got to make sure that if things are falling off the bus, the wheels are falling off the bus, that you talk to your provider and make sure that, things don't get, you don't get in car accidents because you can't even stay awake in your vehicle, or you're getting up really 20 times a night because you're peeing. Those are things that are probably a sleep routine aren't going to help in the long run. But short of that, the first thing I would say is make sure that you're not helping yourself by staying awake and going to sleep with, like, caffeine and melatonin, or caffeine and then taking NyQuil PM or Tylenol PM, because all those things are gonna although help you in the short run, are just keeping your sleep out of whack. So
Right.
no routine is going to help you if you just keep taking that. So I would say, clear the deck, don't do all that, and start, implementing some of the things that we're going to talk about.
That's a good point, because often we'll use substances to help us either stay awake or go to sleep. And there are FDA approved substances, there are food substances like sugar and caffeine, and there are non FDA approved substances, which are street drugs. And people will use a variety of things, including alcohol, to help them feel sleepy and go to sleep. So, this is a good point, because when we're talking about helping someone establish a good sleep routine, we often want to take those stimulants and depressants out of the equation and sort of detox people from them first, because they complicate all your other efforts and actually make you less likely to be successful. So it can be a little bit rough for people for about a week. If you've been drinking 80 cups of coffee in the day and then having 3 glasses of wine before bedtime to try to sleep, that's going to take a while for your brain to kind of recover from. So it would be expected that for about a week or so, your sleep wouldn't be doing great no matter what. But after you got through that period, all these things we're going to talk about are going to really help.
Right.
So, a lot of times, what we're talking about is when people, get to bedtime, they go to sleep and they lay their head down, and then they just stare at the ceiling, and they're there for hours, and they're frustrated because they feel tired, they feel like they ought to sleep, but they just aren't sleeping.
Right.
So, how long does it normally take somebody to fall asleep?
I don't know if there's a normal.
There is.
Well,
Yeah.
I would beg to differ, but let's hear what the normal is.
So normal is between basically 15 and 30 minutes. So that's normal, which means that's how healthy brains sleep. It's not normal to actually lay down and fall asleep within a minute or two. That's actually a sign that you are exhausted. It's also not normal to lay there for more than 30 minutes. So that's the sign that maybe there's another thing that could be done to help prepare you for sleep. And that's what we're going to talk about a little
I'm going to
bit.
push back on that, because I think that normal is what? There are curves, right? There's people who are going to be outside those. I think if we tell people 15 to 30 minutes, now everyone's going to be like,
That was 31 minutes.
what's
Yeah.
wrong with me? So, I think in
True.
general, we can say, there's a there's a range, but I don't think we should let everyone say there's a normal and there's a
Right.
non-normal.
I guess what I mean to say is some people, their partner might fall asleep in 5 minutes and they might be laying there for half an hour and they think, gosh, am I normal? Well, yeah, you are. It's
Right.
just to give people that idea that we're not aiming for hit the pillow, go to sleep.
Well, I'm popping back in here because I am one of those kind of people that literally, when I lay down to go to sleep, I can be asleep in probably 2 or 3 minutes, and I sometimes I won't even move until I get up the next morning. 6 to 8 hours later, and I know my wife. You know, she'll sometimes lay there. She'll say, "Yeah, I lay there and looked at the ceiling till 11 o'clock at night." And so I love what you're saying about there is an average. So we take off the high and the low, and this is our average of 30 minutes. I like the way you kind of define that. It's not everybody. If I'm awake 31 minutes, oh, I'm not normal. I think we get that there's some highs and lows or extremes on each end of the bell curve. Is that correct?
Yes. And even people who fall asleep quickly, if they're falling asleep because they're well prepared for sleep and when they wake up they feel refreshed and ready to go for the day, that's also okay. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I was concerned when you said if a person lays down and go to sleep right away, it could be because they're exhausted. Hey, there are some times where I feel like I don't want to we use the word exhausted. I'm very tired, but for the most part, it's like I'm just ready to go to sleep. I don't feel
Right.
like I'm like it's rare, like 1 out of 100 nights, maybe I'm like crawling into bed and barely can get into bed and fall asleep. Most of the time, I'm laying down. I'm taking a few minutes and then bang, I'm gone. Like that's so again, I think what you're saying on that is just because you go to sleep very quickly doesn't mean you're exhausted.
Right.
Okay.
If,
I'm out.
however, you find yourself falling asleep in your car while you're waiting to pick somebody up, or you're at a meeting at work and someone has to wake you up.
Or you go to the movie theater and that nice
Yeah.
comfy chair is an expensive nap.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right, I'll get out of here and let you talk about, hey, what strategy can we employ?
Okay. So, bedtime routines um, also can be variable in how much you want to invest time wise into them. And what I would recommend for people is to start with the amount of time that you feel like you can devote to your routine. And then if you find that it's not enough, you can add to it. You don't have to start off the bat with this hour-long routine that's very restrictive and you can't deviate from it. We want these things to be flexible in people's lives, but a routine serves a purpose, and the purpose is to signal your brain that sleep is coming and it's time for sleep. And these signals are what prepares the brain to kind of move into that other phase of functionality, which is the sleep patterns. So, signaling your brain ahead of time that this is what we're preparing to do is very helpful. Because of that, you don't want to do something right before you go to bed that signals your brain that it's time to wake up and go. So, what are some things that tell our brain, go, 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 and we might not want to do right before we go to sleep and incorporate it into our late night routine?
Well, there are probably things that we shouldn't do, like work or computer. If your job requires a lot of computer, you don't want to associate being on the computer with just for going to bed, because perhaps during the morning when you're on the computer, you might then ask yourself, why am I so tired every time I get on my computer? Same with, I think, if you're a student, pushing your studying and your reading and all the way up to before you go to bed. There should be other things I know everyone, I think we talked about this. You're trying to push so much up to the time that you go to bed that everyone has like a 30-second bedtime routine. And so, right, that's probably not good. What other things would you say?
I also say things that produce bright light. So for some people, that might be video gaming. For other people, it might be screen use of a different kind. Other things that signal our body to wake up are exercise. So when you exercise, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. These are not bad things. These are actually normal adjustments to exercise, but it's something that our body does when it's like daytime. So we're up, we're moving around, we're working, we're running away from danger or whatever we're needing to do. So when you exercise right before you go to bed, like in the hour prior to bedtime, it actually wakes you up. And the other thing that can wake people up is eating. So eating right before you go to bed sometimes will interfere with your body's process of sort of shutting things down for nighttime. So if you think about it, you need to close down the restaurant to give people time to clean up before they need to go home. That's sort of what's happening in the body. So your stomach needs time to process what you've eaten. Your need a chance to sort of digest your food. I think back to the Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and when um, Ebenezer Scrooge is talking about his nightmare, he talks about, well, maybe it's a piece of boiled potato. So he's talking about that association between eating late at night and having a bad dream or having a problem with his sleep. So eating late at night, exercising late at night, bright lights late at night, these are things we don't want to be part of our routine. Exercise itself is really helpful for a good night's sleep, but you want to finish and complete it about an hour before bedtime. So, what should be part of a bedtime routine? And what should be part of a bedtime routine are things that help you relax and take care of anything that's on your mind. For some people, that will be part of, they'll have a routine of going through their home and checking locks, making sure the home is secure, checking in with children. Maybe part of your bedtime routine is going to be um, laying out things for the next day, whether it's making a to-do list or laying out clothing or going over your schedule for the next day, just so that you're prepared and you feel like you have a good idea of what's coming. For a student, that might be looking at your schedule for the next day, making sure your backpack's ready to go. All these things can kind of just take a little bit of your brain's work away from it that night, because it's no longer preparing because it's already done. So those are the types of things that you can do to sort of help your mind sort of check off its list and calm down. Then there's some things in your physical environment that are very helpful for sleep. And one of those things is temperature. In general, do people sleep better at hot temperatures or at cooler temperatures? Do you know?
I've never officially looked at the studies, but I can tell you what personally.
Well, personally, what do you think?
Well, I think everyone has kind of a operating range of how cool or hot they need to be. So for me, if it's too hot, I can't sleep. If it's too cold, I can't sleep. But now you throw in the factors of you're sleeping with 3 other people in your home, so that it's a battle of the thermostat.
And or several animals,
Yeah.
So the ideal temperature, according to the studies, is 68 degrees in the room that you're sleeping in. That's pretty cool in some climates, and especially here in the summer, your house may not get that cold. There are ways that if you're finding that you're feeling overheated, you can do some things to help cool yourself off prior to going to sleep, like taking a shower and having wet hair. That'll actually make you feel cooler. Or you can sleep with a fan on. This is actually culturally taboo in some places. Some cultures do not like having fans on while you sleep. So that's something that if that's something that you noticing as a problem is you're overheating or maybe feeling a little warm, you could try.
It's been proven you get windema.
This is what we call it, because this is common in the culture that our family is from, is this idea that you get sick if you have wind on you at night. And so we call it in our family windema. Having said that, I prefer fans on, and so does everybody I know here in our 120-degree desert.
I would say, at least for me, taking a shower, I need to time it so that it's not right before I sleep, because for me, a shower does wake me up. And I found in residency, a shower is probably equal to at least an hour of sleep. So I know some people can take a shower and go to bed, but for me, I take a shower at night and I cool off, but then I need to time it so it's not right before bed, or I sit there for a half hour, 45 minutes.
Whereas for me, I feel like a warm bath is really something that puts me to sleep. It's soporific. That's the word that means makes you sleepy. Other people find that reading a book is something that helps them go to sleep. And then for other people, they find that reading right before bed doesn't help them. So some of this is a little bit of trial and error. For me, a shower doesn't wake me up. In fact, maybe if I took a cold shower, that would wake me up. But a nice hot shower, it makes me feel relaxed, and so it helps me sleep. So in some cases, you may find benefit from things that other people don't. So it's a little bit of an experiment. So a warm bath or a shower may help. It certainly will help if you need some time to sort of relax. A shower also acts as white noise, and some people will use a noisemaker to help them sleep. It has a couple effects. One is it actually helps modulate your brain waves to kind of put it more in a sleep pattern. And then the other thing it does is helps to drown out ambient noise. So if you're a person who, will wake up with, a little bit of noise outside or a little bit of noise from the fridge kicking on or something, a white noisemaker can be really helpful. Also, if you travel, a white noisemaker can be really helpful because it can help normalize different environments. So if you have one noisemaker, you can bring it with you when you travel, put it in a hotel room or the room where you're staying, and it helps it seem more like home.
Right. I was going to say, whatever you try, like you said, you got to give it a time for it to normalize your sleep, but also pick things that you can do whether you're at your home or somewhere else. Because if you, let's say, get a noisemaker that you can only plug in, that's not battery operated. What if you're at a place where you can only use a battery operated one, and so then you don't have your sleep pattern? Or if you have an elaborate, tub, I like to take baths and I do this, and you're at a place that has no tub, then what do? You're going to disrupt your sleep. So, there's some things to think about. Not that everything has to be portable, but
I myself don't have time for a super elaborate bedtime ritual in just our busy schedule, but I found that about a 15-minute one does the trick for me. So that's sort of getting ready for bed, washing my face. I do take shower, and then, sort of checking what.
I said, thank goodness.
Wow. Okay,
Meaning that general hygiene is good.
It's good. Checking in with the kids, sort of making sure things are set for the next day. These are all the things that I do. But there have been periods in my life where I've needed to attend to my sleep schedule a little more, like where I was under more stress, and I needed to add some downtime there with some prayer or meditation, some journaling, something to help me sort of process my day. So if you're finding that when you hit the pillow, your brain is still chewing on stuff and you're still either stewing over things that may have happened or trying to work out stuff, you're going to benefit from adding that into your sleep routine where you give your brain a chance to process what's happened that day and journal about it, some prayer, some meditation, maybe even some stretching or yoga. You want to do gentle things that help you relax and help you do some deep breathing and help sort of lower all that stress.
Right. And then I know we talked about, having a routine, but the other thing they also say is you shouldn't do all that in your bed. So you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be reading if that's your bedtime in your bed. You shouldn't be, doing other things, eating or whatever you choose to do in your bed, because they say the only two activities in bed that you should do are sleep and sex. So if you associate your bed with other things, then you're going to send mixed signals to say, okay, is it reading time? Is it, what is it? Is it, is and then you start to, well, if I'm in bed and I can't sleep, I'm going to read, and you start getting anxious about, okay, now here we go again. This is the cycle.
Yeah.
So if you can't sleep, definitely get out and restart your routine, but don't do it all in bed, because then you're going to get into this horrible loop.
There are also people for whom having a clock that's visible is actually harmful to their ability to sleep. So, if you're the type of person who becomes more and more anxious about sleeping, the longer it's taking you to go to sleep, it actually might be helpful to either turn the clock around or put it in a position where you can't see it from where you're sleeping um, because of this. And also, um, the recommendation is if that you've laid there for half an hour and you've gone through your bedroom routine and you're not sleeping and it's been that long, it's okay to get up, get out of bed, go do some other activities until you feel sleepy again, and then come back and go to sleep again. So you do not have to lay there and force yourself to stare at the ceiling until you sleep for hours. In fact, that can actually be counterproductive. So there are times in people's lives where they were have more difficulty sleeping. Um, and there are times when people will sleep different hours of the day than they did before. That's actually just part of humans. We do
Right.
that sometimes. Yeah.
But I think the other thing is we also should, they say, this experts say, you should try to pick the same time to go to bed
Mm-hmm.
and the same time to wake up. Now, some people can't do that. Then they say, then the next best is at least picking one or the other, right? At least go to the same. If you can't control your wake up time, at least go to bed at the same time, and then the vice versa. That if with your kids, you can't always march your time back. So if I'm going to bed at 7, so I'm going to get up at 4, or tonight I'm going to bed at 10, so I'm going to get up at the same time still. So,
Yeah.
but in general, picking the same time to go to sleep and the same time to wake up will help.
Yes, that also sort of sets your circadian rhythm and it tells your body, oh, it's bedtime. And it's, again, not rigid. If there's a night where there's a special event and you're staying up later, that's not going to destroy your whole sleep routine. But you, in general, want to keep those sleep and morning wake times consistent.
Wow, this great information, Dr. Kim, Dr. Burris. I love this. It seems like the routine is actually developing a routine to get your brain to slow down and start signaling it, hey, it's time to close the day down. Just like you said, if we're in the bar and we see the lights flashing off or on, or we're in the McCallum Theater, it means, hey, intermission is over. It's time to get back in and go to bed, or shutting down the bar, if you will. It's last call and time to go to sleep. I love the idea of what you said. It's okay to get back out of bed and not lay there and struggle, which to me would seem to be, as you said, counterproductive, because now a person's getting stressed out because they're not going to sleep. My wife actually removed the clock from her side of the bed for that very reason, because she would get up and I'd say, how'd you sleep last night? Well, I woke up at 1:14 and I got to sleep at 2:17. And it became this, this scorecard thing. And so now one of the things that we discussed is don't ask her how she slept. So I don't do that anymore. And but the idea of signaling to your brain that it's time to end your day, and the idea of when you're in bed, as you said, Dr. Kim, is those two things you're supposed to do, and it's not to watch TV or read or to eat or whatever it might be. Um, get out of bed and do that, and then come back. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right, right. So you want to, if you're not able to sleep in a reasonable amount of time, to get up, leave that area, do some other activities, and again, not things that wake you up more, ideally things that kind of continue that process of slowing your brain down and helping your body relax. And then once you feel like, gosh, I feel like I really want to go to bed again, then you go back in. But
Right.
while you're feeling wide awake, don't force yourself to try to sleep.
Yeah, probably getting up and watching Star Wars or Saving Private Ryan is not going to be helpful.
In that, that's a perfect segue because my wife has this app that she listens to, and it's people that we know, like John McEnroe or whoever it is, and they're reading very boring literature, and it puts them to sleep. And what's funny is we'll be out with somebody, and they'll mention it, and the other lady says, "Oh my gosh, I use that all the time." And what about, I don't know what the end of the story is, because it actually puts them to sleep. Is something like that really a nice, hey, it's my cool down piece that actually starts signaling to your brain that it's time to shut it down?
Yes, absolutely. And some people use music. Some people will use podcasts.
Mm.
Other people will use books on tape. Um, my father, when I was young, used to read his math textbooks to me because he was getting his PhD in math. Apparently, that was very effective when I was little. So
Uh,
sometimes it's just the cadence of listening to someone talk as well.
We have some textbooks that if we can help
Oh,
you let you
yeah.
borrow if you have any problem out there.
so get back to it. Sleep is nothing but math. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the
Life is
numbers.
math.
Anything that, I just want to recap here. You said, first of all, hey, if you are using some kind of medication, whether it's organic, it's non-organic, it's prescribed, it's not prescribed, one of the first thing you do before you start implementing this is get off of those extracurricular activities, and then give your body some time for it to work through, and then start implementing some of these signaling programs to get your mind and body into the, hey, it's time for me to go to sleep mode. And then start cutting out things like the bright lights, like the extra noise, the activity of eating before you go to bed, because now you're having to burn energy to help digest that food. And of course, exercising before you go to bed. Although, as you said, some exercise is okay. Probably hardcore cardiovascular, probably not the best. But as you said, what, about an hour? Try to limit that to about an hour before.
Right, right. Try to get
Yeah,
it finished up before that hour.
great. And then again, get yourself in a situation where you're saying, hey, when I'm going to go to bed, it's for one of two reasons. And in this case, we're talking about sleep. Our other show starts at noon. No, I'm just kidding. That it's about sleep, and start conditioning your mind that that's the case. I love the idea you said about the white noise machine, because that is portable, as you said, Dr. Kim. If you're moving around, or you travel, that's something you can recreate, that environment. I was going to ask you before, but I think you really nailed it about how important environment is to be able to sleep. My wife likes to sleep when it's cool. I think, hey, I got to bundle up, but I sleep like a rock. So it must work for me, because she likes to sleep around 72, 70. And for me, it's frigid. I wear my flannels and I'm good to go. But I think that is the case, that fan on. Boy, she uses all those things. So she must have already spoken to you about all these things, because I'm just ticking off the marks. I'm like, gosh, she does all that stuff. Dr. Kim and Dr. Burris has her dialed in. So I hope these things help you. You've taken some notes. Again, if you have someone in your life who's maybe having some difficulty sleeping, Share this with them. I know it will help because these are things that are proven over time that will make a difference in how you sleep. I want to say next week, we're going to talk about something that's a little different. We've talked about how to get to sleep. And as Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim said before, it's not, staying asleep and getting to sleep are two different conditions. And take just a second, but I want to talk a little bit more about that next week. And can we talk about that and insomnia next week?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you said getting to sleep and staying to sleep are different. How is that the case? Just briefly.
Well, the sleep has very specific cycles that it goes through. So if somebody is initiated sleep and they've gone to sleep just fine, and then they're waking up before the normal pattern of sleep wake cycle should happen, then there's usually a reason that they woke up, whether it's a physical reason, an external reason, or a brain function reason. There's usually a cause there for that early awakening that can be a problem that needs to be addressed.
Is that something as primary care physicians that if this resonates with anyone that they should see their primary care physician? And if you don't have a primary care physician, let me just pop this on the screen, that your information's on the screen now where you can call them, the numbers there, or check out the website. Is that something we ought to call you?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not getting sleep, and even if you're like, I feel like I'm in bed for 6, 7 hours, 8 hours, but man, I'm tired, or if you're getting up a lot, or if you're just having problems, even if you're like, I can't even get off the 12 cups of coffee. These are things that people need help with. And absolutely, they can call us or call your provider. And that's something that, we can help you with. And if we can't help you, then at least putting in touch with the different specialties that you might need. But absolutely, your primary care doctor is probably the best person to go to.
Well, as always, you guys are just a wealth of information, and this is very, very helpful. You've been joining us today on Your Personal Health with Dr. Krista Burris and Dr. Michael Kim of Coachella Valley Direct Primary Care, located here in Rancho Mirage, servicing the whole Coachella Valley, changing the way they look at healthcare. If you're not happy with the way your healthcare is being provided, you should check them out. Check out their website or give them a call. I promise you, you will be blown away and you'll sleep better at night knowing that they're in your corner. Dr. Burris, Dr. Kim, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week and diving into, hey, once we go to sleep, how do we stay asleep? And what is that insomnia and how can we get past that? You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Your Personal Health.